Hi there, it's Nick Dutch back again. I want to tell you today about one of my key supernatural experiences. Obviously I'm using the term supernatural here very loosely because I personally am of the opinion that if anything, and I mean anything, happens in the world, then it has to be by some form of perfectly natural force. Just like gravity, light, electromagnetism, and all that kind of stuff, to be quite honest. But experiences which happen on the way can lead you to make some kind of informed decision as to what variety of beliefs you may want to consider developing to a certain extent. Obviously, I am an individual who is intelligent enough to know the difference between a belief and a fact. But on the other hand, beliefs themselves can be quite curious and interesting. So what I'm going to do today is tell you about an experience that I had that I seemed to make happen as a result of essentially occult activity, and also to just discuss with you very briefly some of the possible ideas that we could get from this, which you may agree with or you may disagree with, or you may indeed feel very frustrated about the possibility of, I don't know, someone like me having a particular belief based upon these ideas or based upon this experience. But just relax, alright? I'm just an individual with a point of view. It doesn't really matter. Just watch the video and see this as another point of view, okay? This happened many years ago. I was living in a completely different town. I was just working as one of the local teddy sales boys, and people had no knowledge in that area that I was even vaguely associated with occultism or the pagan community or anything of that nature at all. I was just a local guy in his early 20s, basically being a bit of an arse, as people of that age often are, and getting into a bit of trouble here and there. And that's basically all there was to it. I used to go to this one particular bar, and there was one time when I was, I think I was trying to transition between one job and another job, and I decided one of the best ways of doing it was, of course, to go to a pub and get drunk, which was a very stupid way of doing things, to be honest, in retrospect, but that's the way I was at the time, a bit of a silly billy. So I went to this bar and I met this lady there, and she'd only known me very briefly. I mean, she was an individual who I bumped into socially because she worked in the local laundrette, but apart from that, she didn't know much about me at all, apart from the fact I was just a local guy who would do his job and take his pay and then go to the pub and get drunk, because I was in my early 20s and I was a bit stupid. Anyway, there was this one time she sat there and she started telling me about her life and the fact that she was incredibly tired because she'd been working 2 jobs and things were just a bit difficult for her right now. And I felt a bit of empathy for her and I held her hand. That's all, just held her hand. And I let her talk. And while she talked, I did a visualization exercise which comes out of the school of thinking of spiritual healing. Now, stop right there, mentally speaking, just stop right there, okay? Because I don't want you to think that the term spiritual healing is a promise of health, nor is it a promise of healing. It's just a set of exercises which we as eccentric people in my field tend to do. Just try and see it from that point of view, okay? But I did this exercise within like the Venn set of whatever it is called spiritual healing, okay? Whilst holding her hand, visualize light coming from my heart, down my arm, into her body, up her arm, and just illuminating her, okay, from the inside. And I did this with a little bit of breath control and just made it happen. She didn't pay any attention. Obviously she was talking. I had a very placid facial expression on at the time, and once she'd finished talking about the difficulties at home and the difficulties associated with all the stuff that she was going through, obviously quite happy that there was someone who was there and listening to her, she said, "Nick, whilst you are holding my hand, and I know this is going to sound really strange, but whilst you are holding my hand, I felt something coming into me." And she described it. Something electric, something warm. And she described the fact it seemed to flow up her arm and into her body. Now, if she was someone who had known me from my previous, social incarnation, so to speak, as being a member of the pagan community, or if she'd seen me in a psychic fair, which I'd done previously, then we'd probably be talking about a different set of situations and circumstances and ideas. But the fact of the matter is, she had no knowledge at all that I was someone who had an interest in tarot, who'd been through various different pagan groups, been in witchcraft circles, participated in ritual magic celebrations, and all that kind of stuff. She just had no knowledge of this whatsoever, at all. But yet, she told me, unprompted, alright, that she had felt this happen. She had had an experience because I was holding her hand and I was doing this spiritual healing exercise. She didn't know I was doing it, but she could feel it. Now, I'm of the opinion that when someone is tired and drained, they're more likely to be receptive to that sort of thing anyway. So maybe, it wasn't the most clever or powerful thing I could have ever done. But I did it. And she told me there was a certain experience that she got from it. So yeah, my body and mind was right at the time for me to be able to do that exercise. She was very receptive at the time because she was overtired. So yes, everything could work according to plan and she could experience. But she didn't know that I was someone who did this stuff. So what can be gleaned from this? Number one, strange experiences happen. Yes. Okay? They just do. Strange, supernatural experiences happen. Number two, human consciousness is a powerful tool which seems to have an impact upon the outside world. Possibly individuals in the outside world. There may be, we could possibly hypothetically extrapolate, implications for health, but we can't say precisely what it is. We are not necessarily confined purely to our own physical bodies. Alright, that's the third one. We are not confined to our physical bodies. It's not just a question of the brain and the body is all that there is of you. Alright, there's something about you which extends outside of your being. So we could hypothetically extrapolate that your thoughts and your feelings affect the outside world. And if that's the case, isn't there actually an imperative to go through personal and self-development properly and thoroughly and really searchingly, okay? So that as you grow older, you don't carry on, bringing negativity into the outside world. It's like combating pollution, but on a psychic level. Okay, it's totally hypothetical, totally just out there, But when you have these experiences, they definitely make you think, and they definitely make you feel, and they definitely make you think like something is going on here. And this stuff is real. Because you can have an experience of this nature and of this type. And if you dedicate yourself enough to the spiritual exercises, through meditation, whatever, just go on a path of doing it, alright? You will have strange stuff happen, which you will make happen. As far as I'm concerned, on the basis of my experience, that's the closest I can get to a fact on this stuff. But what it means, as in, can you cure diseases this way? I don't know. Obviously, if I personally could, then I would never get a cold, alright? I'd never have a bad back, right? I'd look $1 million all the time. Okay, so I personally can't. But I've had experiences which suggest that something is real, something is happening, something amazing. But we at this time in our scientific knowledge, we can't say what it is. That's what's so frustrating. But stuff is real. Just take that home with you and let this be a motivation to you to start reading the books, start doing the exercises, start learning the stuff, start doing things with your mind, doing things with your spirituality, and having faith that you are touching something which science will eventually look at. Not in your lifetime, not in my lifetime, but at some point. And we just got to keep the clear thinking out there in the world. Because that's what our task is right now, in my humble opinion. And I could be wrong, I don't know. But all I can do is tell you honestly and truly what I think and what I've experienced. The rest is up to you. God bless everyone.